Hi everyone, today we have a special guest. He is a successful entrepreneur, a brilliant magician, inventor of alcoholic boba, and my good friend, Elton Keung.
Hello everyone.
Yeah! And Elton is going to share with us how he started his business from almost zero capital and how he became such a successful entrepreneur. What is alcoholic boba?
Well, alcoholic boba to me is cocktail drinks that are alcoholic with honey boba in them.
What is boba then?
Well, boba are these tapioca balls that you put in the bottom of drinks.
Elton, for our audience, some people want to start their own business for the first time. What's 3 pieces of advice you'd give them?
3 pieces of advice, just ready, fire, aim, thinking's overrated. Just don't think too much, just go for it. Always improve every day.
Now, I know a lot of people, before they start their business, they want to figure out the whole plan. Like they want to know exactly what's going to happen, how to prevent it, and then what to do next. And then that stops them from taking any action at all. What do you have to say for that?
Don't plan too much, just go for it, man. I think if I thought too much, I would just come up with a million reasons why I shouldn't do it.
What did you do after you came up with the idea of you wanted to do an alcoholic boba business?
Yeah, so I knew I had to learn how to make boba. I knew I needed to learn how to make alcohol, so I took bartending and mixology classes just to learn how to make cocktails. And then I learned how to make boba from a friend of mine, and then I took a trip to Taiwan and I actually met up with you.
Yeah, I remember that.
I did a little research, and Taiwan is the birthplace of boba, and there's this lady there, Miss Lin, who worked at Chun Sui Tang back in the 80s, and she still works there now. And she's the one that put tapioca into milk tea, and I wanted to go to the location in Taichung where she did that. And when I visited Curtis, we took a road trip down to Taichung, and we stayed there a night. And then the next day we went to the Chun Sui Tang where she did this, and they were having an annual event at another Chun Sui Tang down the street. So they invited us in. It was very, very
such
lucky.
A coincidence.
Super coincidence. And I got to meet Miss Lin herself and interview her for a little bit, and everyone was really, really nice. And this kind of was what I call entrepreneurial momentum, is when you're doing what you're supposed to do, the stars tend to align for you. If I was just at home twiddling my thumb, planning, thinking, I don't think I would have been able to have that experience, and it was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
I got to witness that firsthand, and it's really in line with something I believe. A lot of people, I don't know if you believe the law of attraction. The law of attraction is like, what you put out there, you're going to receive back. The last 6 letters is action. Once you set your mind on something, like you wanted to do your business, you wanted to meet the inventor, you did that, and things just start happening. But you really have to take the first step and just go do it, go out there. One of the problems that people that want to start their own business is they don't have funding. They don't know where to get capital, and how do you go about starting your own business without capital?
There's I call it bootstrapping, or they call it bootstrapping. I call it the karate business strategy. It's like you don't have much weapons, you have to fight with your hands, right? You just have to come up with creative ways to, overcome the hurdle of not having financial funding. I started Boba 7 with just a credit card, right? $2,000 credit card that I probably maxed right away. Bought a few blenders, an iPad to do the transaction. I didn't even have an ice machine or a refrigerator just yet. Everything was just borrowed at the time.
I know that you worked out a deal with Soy 7. For those of you that you don't have capital and you're worried about rent and how are you going to get everything started, Elton, could you share what deal you worked out?
So I would, based on my sales, so I would give them a percentage of my revenue every month. And I did that for 4.5 years, and it's just the better I did, the better they did, and they were happy with that. And the worse I did in the winter when it wasn't as busy, then I didn't have to pay as much as rent. So it was actually a really nice thing. It comes in different ways. I think you just want to be resourceful with what you have, what your strengths are. If you don't have money, you do have all the time in the world, right? So a lot of it is just me putting my human capital into my business and working myself and not hiring people, and that kind of is how I took it day by day. And why I stayed for more than a summer is because I didn't actually actualize Boba 7 yet. It wasn't until 2013, I think January, where it really started to take off. And I think if I had just done that summer and given up, I would not be where I am today with Alcoholic Boba.
That is such an amazing story. So basically, didn't know how to make the drinks, didn't know how to do alcohol, no capital until you worked out this deal. And then it took you 4.5 years to have that overnight success on January 13th?
Oh no, it took me, like 6 months.
6 months?
After opening Boba 7 to have that, like the LA Weekly articles and the press to really start pouring in, and for the success I had in like 2013, 2014, doing like the night markets and just like having Alcoholic Boba become a thing.
How do you go about marketing your business, and how do you get that customer base?
I mean, I do, for my store, definitely the Yelp account is important, but also just across the board, Facebook, Instagram, I make sure the pictures are good and appetizing. And also another important thing that I feel like most businesses don't do as much is the press, organically the press. You want to just be able to have people develop like really good stories about your business, and you just want to make sure you captivate them. Most of the time I'm just really lucky. They reach out to me, I think, because of what I do with Alcoholic Boba. That's kind of like how like BuzzFeed even happened. It's just like they just reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, ready and willing as always. Everything can lead to something.
I think that's such a good piece of advice that you said about reaching out to news articles, because I personally use that as well. When I was in Taiwan, these news articles, they have to write stories pretty much every day, and they want good stories. So if what you have to offer, if you package it into how you started or your success story or why your business is different, then they'll want to use that. You guys create a win-win. They create promotion for you, and at the same time, they have a good story that they can write. So after Boba 7, I know you have your own shop right now. How did do you make that transition?
Boba 7 was like struggling, and Thai restaurant was like, gonna go through some changes, and I knew the beginning of the year that 2016, like in the fall, that I would close down Boba 7. And I wanted to do it in a very like impactful way, because it was socially, like on the internet, on everything, a very successful endeavor. And it just financially wasn't reaching what it needed to be. And I kind of, put myself out there. The day I closed Boba 7 in October, I launched a Kickstarter campaign for all throughout November. And it got funded, actually. I raised like $61,000 on Kickstarter.
Wow.
If I just came out, 4.5 years ago and launched a Kickstarter campaign, there's no way I would have been successful, just like with this Boba thing. I think it's just building little customer relations over the years, just like one person at a time. It really helped, and I'm really grateful that it was like over 450 people that backed the project, and I was able to open Labobatory pretty much on January 7th of this year, and it's been really fun since, just like having the own store and a lot more autonomy and control, not being a part of another business but just my own business.
Elton, I really want to acknowledge something you do really well. Your customer service. You say take one person at a time.
Yeah.
Now, Elton, I see you replying to pretty much all your Yelp reviews, and then all your customers that come in, a lot of the people don't know this, but Elton does magic. And for customers that come in and it's not too busy, Elton will perform magic tricks for them. You'll sign their card, you'll take photos with them, you'll make them really feel at ease coming to your store.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people come to your store not only for your boba, they come to see you.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a double-edged sword, right? They come to see me, but my store is open right now, I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So there's like sometimes people don't see me when they expect to see me. That's sometimes a bad thing. But I try to just like maximize what I do, and when I'm there, I try to like really be there. And it's just like not every day you're gonna feel like super social. For me, I just drink a passion oolong tea, and I'm there. I can socialize pretty well.
So basically, focus on your customers and focus on bringing value. You had this vision of what you wanted to do. You had no idea how to do it. You went about doing it one step at a time, and you got that momentum. And then you focus on your customers, and they're the ones that ultimately backed you up on your Kickstarter that made this all possible.
Yep.
So put your story out there and just go do it. Elton, what were some obstacles you had along the way?
I don't know, just like little things. I had dealt with some like mental health issues. I think nothing was as easy as it seemed, and also just like it's been a long financial struggle for a really long time. You
mentioned mental health, and I remember you getting injured while you were snowboarding. and that you had to go to a mental hospital to take care of your health.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Actually, not at all. I'm very comfortable with it at this point. I did have a snowboarding accident in high school, and I did hit my head on the slopes, so always wear a helmet. Afterwards, I started to have like really grandiose thoughts, and I actually got suspended. In high school, I got kicked out for a little bit, and I had to get evaluated at a psychiatric ward. Yeah, it was quite, I guess, traumatizing as like a 18-year-old, just like having to deal with all that. And I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2. I deal with a lot of like mania and manic episodes, and that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
How has that affected you wanting to run this business, starting this business?
I think it's definitely something that people really close to me worry about. They think that when I'm going too fast and working too hard, not sleeping, that those are my triggers that lead, and stress that lead to me into this manic episode, and that those are, it's highly problematic for everyone around me, and I just become this center of attention problem. I mean, it's just something you have to like sleep it off and overcome. And I'm at the psych ward, sleeping there. It feels like I'm there for like 2 weeks, and just they evaluate me, and they eventually deem that I am okay, and they let me out on a bunch of meds.
I can't even imagine that. It must be tough just being your friend, seeing that you have to go through that. It's amazing what you do, Elton. How do you do it? Like, what do you do to overcome it?
Over the time, it's kind of part of like growing up, is that I honestly feel like as I mature more, I became more and more aware of myself, and I start to understand what leads me down this path of into mania, where it's just this super elevated state, and I'm super happy. It almost feels like it's like a high, right? Mm-hmm. And you're just kind of like stuck in this euphoric state, and nothing even makes sense anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And it feels really good at the time, but you just got to know it leads to so many problems. And I think just having had the problems, I kind of understand it now, and I know the triggers, and I always try not to ever lose sleep over anything. It's just I will get my sleep, and I will reset my brain.
Could you share some words of encouragement to some of our audience members that maybe they have some disabilities of their own, or they have doubts about themselves?
I think just like know your physical and mental limitations, right? Don't overwork yourself. Don't stress too much. As long as you're healthy, you're able to fight another day. And I think that's like the most important thing.
Have you found any advantages maybe to these mental health issues?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like, in my opinion, an advantage, right? So say you're normal and you're like right here, but when you're over the top, you're like, no one can understand you anymore. But somewhere in between that, it's my most creative like moments. Those are the times when I come up with some of the most creative things, and everything starts to connect, and that's when I come up with like the best puns for all kinds of stuff. So I just gotta know that that is my range, and to not go beyond that. Right?
Yeah.
And to just find that happy, creative moment. And that's where the advantage lies, is that like that hypomanic stage where you're not in manic, but you're like a little bit above.
It's just amazing how you're able to understand yourself and understand your limits of what you can do, and how to make that into your own advantage. And I'm sure a lot of you out there, you can do the same. It doesn't matter what type of things that are holding you back. If you understand yourself well enough, you can go ahead and take care of your needs and still pursue your dream of maybe starting your own business. Do you have any last words of advice for our audience out there?
Chase the dream, not the competition. You just be the best version of you, and be happy with that. And I think that's what gives me the most joy, is that I am happy in what I do, and I just want to make boba for everyone.
I totally agree with that. Just be the best version of yourself that you can be, and whatever it is that you want to do, just go for it. Make it happen. Thank you so much, Elton, for such an inspirational story. You guys, be sure to check out Elton's Labobatory, Alcoholic Boba. I will put a link or a picture right here so you guys can check that out. All right, till next time. Bye.